All right, welcome back everybody. This is the 2021 Mazda 3 Turbo Hatchback all-wheel drive. It's the longest title ever for a car, but this is actually my personal daily driver right now. I've had it since August of last year, so not quite a full year, but I've had it for a while, and I've got about 6,300 miles on it. And after those 6,300 miles that I've put on this car personally, I feel like I can confidently say this is one of the best daily drivers you can buy, and it's probably one of the best daily drivers that you're not buying. This whole time that I've had this car, I think I've only seen maybe 5 or 6 other cars in this spec that's all-wheel drive, the hatchback, the turbo, and which is kind of a shame because it's such a fantastic vehicle. So I've driven this through the full gamut of seasons, summer, fall, winter. I still have my snow tires on it because just a few days ago it was snowing and now it's 75 degrees here in Salt Lake City, so that's Utah for you. But no matter the climate, this thing has been amazing. It's super comfortable. It produces 250 horsepower, 310 pound-feet of torque, which is plenty to have fun with and perfect for daily driving. I've been averaging about 28, 29 miles to the gallon. I've gotten up to 31 before on a tank, so pretty good, especially considering it's all-wheel drive and it produces a lot of power. And it's luxurious. You know, Mazda's really stepped up their game with their quality, their interior fit and finish, and just the features that you have. This is totally decked out. This is the, I think it's called the Preferred Plus or Preferred Premium. It's the top trim that Mazda has. And it has everything, you know, 360 camera, it has all the safety features, it has a Bose stereo, Apple CarPlay. It's really wonderful, and it's a shame they're not selling more of these. So part of this review is just to like give you a heads up if you're interested in the Mazda 3, but also to kind of like sell it a little bit because this is a great vehicle that I think more people should be buying. So I'll give you some driving impressions, and I'll also walk you around the exterior, show you some things that I like. It's a very unique looking vehicle, and I don't know that it's for everybody, but for those that appreciate some unique style, I think you're gonna have a lot to like here. And Mazda's interior is some of the best outside of like the typical German luxury brands that you see, and from Audi, Mercedes, BMW. And this, honestly, I've driven a lot of those other vehicles, and this Mazda really does feel up to that level for way cheaper. So let me show you around and we'll go for a drive. All right, so one of the most distinctive features of the exterior is here in the front grille. With this Mazda 3 Turbo Hatchback, you get a lot of this. It's been blacked out. It's blacked out here, kind of blacked out in the headlights. You get this front lip, blacked out grille with this polymetal gray paint, and I think it looks awesome. It looks a little sad. We've kind of nicknamed this vehicle Eeyore. So, but I like the way it looks. I think it looks cool. Look, going down the road, these headlights are illuminated here, and it gives it kind of just a nice, aggressive stance kind of coming at you down the road. And I love like the mesh looking grille. You can see the number of sensors that's also in the grille too. But overall, you know, I think whoa, I've driven so many Nissans lately. I'm used to saying Nissan, but Mazda, I can't remember the award, but they actually won an award for the best styled compact car or something. I don't even know what it was, but I think it's well deserved, you know? Got to give Mazda some credit here. They've really done well with this hatchback, which again, there's not that many hatchbacks. And so if you're a hatchback fan, you got to check this thing out. You've got some nice black painted wheels here. You can get optional lightweight BBS wheels, and they look cool, but they're the same size. These are 18-inch wheels, and the stock size, I have my tires, my winter tires is 225/45. The stock size is 215/45/18. But the BBS wheels that you can get with this are cool, but they're really expensive. They're like $5,700, so don't really want them. Don't really care that much. You can also get an optional fender, or not fender, but side flare aero kit, which extends kind of that gloss black finish from the front grille to the sides that'll stick out. But as it is, I think it looks nice. You also have like your keyless entry. You can lock it there. You also have As part of this top trim of the Mazda 3, you've got an additional rear spoiler here that you can see actually just goes, if you come back here, it actually just goes right on top of the stock, not the stock, but just kind of the standard spoiler. This one just kind of goes right on top, giving it an even more aggressive look. And then around the rear you have more, you know, darker tinted taillights. You've got the black gloss down here. You also have this nice guard here. And of course, all-wheel drive and the turbo, so that you know that you got the cool one. But overall, I think the exterior looks really nice. When I got it, I was initially pretty worried about these massive C-pillars. It's thick. And then you have pretty small windows. So I thought, is there gonna be a lot of blind spots here? But getting in, there's really not. It's surprising. Mazda's done a great job with the visibility in this car. And with all of the, you know, rear cameras that you get that show you the whole thing, I've never had a problem. Like, visibility's never felt weird to me. I've never felt claustrophobic in it. And you can see great. And the rear seat occupants, even though those windows look small, and they are, you can see great out of the back too. So, also with this top trim, you have the black gloss mirrors. And so this combination of the polymetal gray, which almost looks like a matte kind of gray, with these gloss black accents, it looks really sharp. You can also get this in like the amazing Mazda Soul Red, which is one of the best reds on the market. But I can totally see why Mazda chose this polymetal gray as their main marketing color, because it just looks fantastic, especially with the interior. So this is the red leather interior, as you can see. You can also get it in black. But I've always loved red leather interiors. I'd always wanted a red leather interior. And Mazda's killed it. It feels very nice, very luxurious. You also have these really cool, shiny metallic accents here and actual stainless steel here with the Bose stereo that you get in this top trim. Automatic one-touch buttons for all of them, heated, you know, mirrors, heated seats. It does not have ventilated seats. That's the one knock against this car that I wish it had, was ventilated seats. So let me climb in and I'll show you more of the interior. All right, so coming into the interior, you can see the sloping roof line. You can't even see the top of my head, but I do have enough headroom in here. I've got probably 2 or 3 inches, even though the sloping roof line is there. So it's not a ton. So if you're tall, I had my buddy in here who's 6'1", and his head was pretty close up there. But I have, you know, me sitting behind where I have the seat, I'm 5'9", and I have enough, you know, I wouldn't say it's particularly spacious, but I have enough for, you know, being comfortable for a little while. And we've had both of our kids back here in their car seats, and they've been fine. They're 6 years old and 3 years old, so they're not, you know, big kids, but they fit pretty great. And then coming in, these seats are really comfortable. Mazda's done a lot of design and a lot of research into making just really comfortable seats, and I've never had any complaints with them. The seating position is near perfect. There's something about like the angle of this dash here and the angle of the steering wheel that I would give it maybe just like 9 out of 10 for seating position. I've never been able to find like the perfect spot, but it's fine. Like, it's really comfortable. I've loved commuting in this thing and driving it all over the place. And yeah, I mean, you have these just nice vents. You've got integrated smaller vents here, which I was also concerned about these, given that they're so small, and concerned about how much they'd be able to cool the interior like on a hot day here in Utah. But they've done a great job. I have no complaints. So that's the interior, that's the exterior. Now I'll give you some driving impressions and we'll call it a day. And I actually got this for a great deal. I had had my STI, and then I had got that for a good deal. This is all before the madness of, you know, the car prices where they're at today. But yeah, so let's see. Yeah, the sun's still a little weird, but that's okay. Anyway, sorry. But yeah, the car prices have kind of been crazy, but I got all that before. I got the STI before they were nuts, and I actually got this kind of when dealers were desperate to sell anything that they could. And so I traded in my STI, made some good money off of it, and then I got a deal on this. And so this is actually, I got it for a great deal, which I'm pretty happy about. Bountiful Mazda in Bountiful, Utah. It's amazing. MJ, the manager there, the owner, is a fantastic guy. I would send all the business in the world to him. And anyway, so I've had it for almost 6 months. That's a long build up, but I've had it through the winter. I have winter tires on it right now, and I'm glad that I do. It is all-wheel drive, but where I work, I sometimes have to leave very early in the morning, and living here near Salt Lake, there's always you know, the chance of some pretty crazy snowy mornings. And so snow tires are always a must for me. I buy them for all my cars, and this thing's done amazing in the snow. Really good. I mean, the STI was phenomenal in the snow, and I think this is just as good. And no, it doesn't have a manual transmission, which I prefer manual transmissions. I love driving manual, but you know, the rest of the car is so good that I don't really miss it. I think that this Mazda 3 Turbo Hatchback, with all-wheel drive, is honestly, it's one of the best daily drivers you can buy. It just is, period. I mean, especially for the money. I mean, if you want to go out and daily drive like a, you know, 911 Turbo S or something, then go for it. But this was just over, or no, I think it was just under. It was around 33 grand. For 33 grand, you get all-wheel drive, you get great looks, and I know the looks aren't loved by everybody. I think it looks awesome. It's a really interesting shape. You get a turbocharged engine, which puts out 310 pound-feet of torque, which is plenty to have fun with. It's pretty fuel efficient. I would say most of the driving I do in this, like 65% of the driving I do is highway. So almost, you know, a decent, you know, half and half mix there, city and highway. But I average, with my snow tires on in the winter, I've been getting about 26, 27. On this last tank, I almost had 28. And then during the summer, when I had this last summer and fall, I was getting, you know, 29. I even got, I think, 31. It was my best tank ever. So it's pretty fuel efficient for how much power that puts out. It can run on regular unleaded and premium. Premium gets you a pretty decent bump in power. I can't remember the exact amount, but I always just put premium in it. I like the extra power, especially if you put this thing in sport mode. I mean, I'll pop it into sport here. In a lot of cars, wow, and you can immediately feel the difference that it makes. It's incredible. In a lot of cars, sport mode is kind of a joke. You can't really tell if it does anything or changes anything. But with this thing, it's an immediate. It changes the throttle response and like the shift points, and it's really fun. Like, it's really fun. And this is one of the best cars that just nobody's buying. I think I think in the last almost 6 months that I've owned it, I've seen like less than a dozen of these out on the road. It's crazy. Like, I've driven, you know, plenty of cool BMWs, Audis, and stuff. This honestly feels pretty on par, at least with like what BMW and Audi are doing in their entry-level cars. And I kind of think it's more fun in a lot of ways, and it's so much cheaper. It's way cheaper, and it's a hatchback, so you have that utility. The all-wheel drive is great. It's got plenty of punch. I think the horsepower is around 250, but the torque is really where you feel it in this thing. It's got a great sound. I think some of it's piped in, but I don't care. It's low. It actually kind of sounds like my old WRX. It just has this nice rumble, even though I know it's probably not real. I like the sound. It's not annoying. It's not really even very loud. It's just enough that's there that it's fun. It's fun to listen to. It's comfortable. These seats are great. I really like the seats. The driving position is almost perfect. There's something about like the angle of the dash and like the seat and the steering wheel that it's never completely settled into perfection for me, but it's really good. I don't know. I just haven't quite fine-tuned it enough, but it's okay. I mean, it's fine. It's like, this is so comfortable. The back seat is comfy. You know, for a while there, this was like our main car with our two kids, and we packed them around no problem. You know, there's enough room. It's not huge back there. There's probably more space in other cars, but it was fine. You know, and like for me, I'd rather have like I'm happy to have, I guess I should say, the attractive shape of this car, and if that sacrifices a little bit of back seat space, that's okay. But I think this back seat space is more than what we had in the BMW M440i that I reviewed. The thing was small in the back, and this has, you know, decent space. And with the hatch, you can fold those seats down. You can put a ton of stuff in here. And so it's classy. It's just aggressive enough. I mean, just sporty enough. It's not really aggressive looking, but with the front air dam, looks pretty cool. I mean, the lights, the tech that you get in here is crazy. You get the 360 camera, all of the safety features that you normally get on cars that are way more expensive. Like the features, the value that Mazda has brought to this car is astounding. And it is a shame there are not more of them on the road. And I know everybody wants the manual transmission in this thing, and I think it probably would be fun, but you know, this automatic isn't amazing. I wish it had like the responsiveness of like a ZF, like found in like the BMWs. But it does an okay job. It's fine, but it's fun. Like this car without the manual transmission is a lot of fun. You've got paddle shifters, which are a good time. Like, it moves, and I've really enjoyed driving. The suspension is a little on the stiffer side. Like it's probably a little stiffer than what you're expecting, and maybe it's the torsion beam in the back. But like over some of these more like rough lanes on the freeway driving home, it does kind of get it doesn't feel that it's not as stiff as the WRX STI, but it's not that far off either. I think that in a weird way, the BRZ that I had with the performance pack and the Bilstein, I don't know, with those shocks, that was the best out of these three, even though you can't really compare them. Just giving, trying to give some references here, but and I was really worried about visibility with the huge C-pillars in the back, and it's actually not really a problem at all. Like, the rear window curves around enough to where I've genuinely been surprised. I never have felt like I don't have good visibility in here. And you've got like blind spot monitoring and lane departure and all that stuff to help you, make sure you're driving safely. But this has a 5-star crash test rating too. Like, I felt really great, putting the kids in here and driving around and driving to work every day. And my commute's not super long. It's not short either. It's about 24 miles or so, just right around there, one way. So I'm doing about 50 miles a day, and it feels good to feel safe, and you feel safe in here. It feels pretty well built. There's not a ton of road noise, and I've got the snow tires on right now, so there's a little bit more than usual. If you fold down the seat, there is a little bit more there. You can kind of hear it more, but again, that's only when you have the seat folded down. Like I said, fuel economy is good, but this tank is pretty small, and so you could eke out, close to 300 miles on a tank if you're doing a lot of highway driving like me. I've done over 300 miles on a tank a couple times, but usually you're going to want to start thinking about it, you know, around like 270, 280 miles to a tank. So it's not a big tank, even if you are getting, you know, 28, 29 miles to the gallon. And so just be aware that if you are driving as much as I am, you know, about 50 miles a day, you're probably going to be filling up almost once a week. But it's a great place to be. I mean, the Bose stereo is one of the best I've heard. I love it. The climate controls are easy to use. It took, you know, Mazda does not have a touchscreen. They're all about the dial. And well, initially I was like, oh, I want a touchscreen. Well, the screen is set pretty far back, so you wouldn't want it to be a touchscreen anyway, because you'd be leaning really far forward. But you get used to the dial really quickly. There's a couple quirks and shortcuts that are helpful, but you get used to it very quickly. This gen being a 2020, or this year being a 2021, doesn't have the wireless Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. I'm not sure if the 22s have that yet. They might, because I know they bumped the price a little bit for the 22 Mazda 3s, but I wish it was wireless. It feels kind of weird that it's not, given that the rest of it's so premium feeling, but whatever. This red leather I think is sweet. I love red leather. I've always loved it. I like it in most cars. I'm not really a fan of black leather all that much. I think it's just a lot of black. So I'm usually one for like the browns and tans and red and something other than black. And I really like this red. I think it looks good. It's worn well. There's not a lot of surfaces, even on the seats, that seem worn or even wrinkled. Mazda really is to be commended. They've done a fantastic job at stepping up their game, which they've always made good cars. I've always liked their cars. My dad owned a Mazda Protege 5, and a yellow one for years, like 15 years. It was a long time. Loved that car. I had a Mazda Miata, an NA from 90, I think ours was a 92, and I loved that thing. I mean, I've always liked Mazdas, but their efforts to go into the luxury scale here is, it's definitely, you know, something not to ignore if you're willing to forego the traditional luxury nameplate. I think that you could have essentially the same experience, but paying a whole lot less, and maybe even having a better experience in a lot of ways. I really do think this is better than a lot of BMWs and entry-level BMWs and Mercedes. But those might be fighting words, but I'm not saying in every way. I do enjoy, I love the BMWs and Audis, but I think that this is a worthy competitor, especially for the price, and it's definitely to be considered. And, you know, major kudos to Mazda making such a cool hatchback when nobody's making hatchbacks anymore. And it's not lifted, right? You can buy the CX-5 if you want, or the CX-30, which is basically like the Crosstrek version of this. And you can get the turbo in that too. But there's something about like the lower center of gravity that I just love. I still prefer these just lower cars. And anyway, it's a lot of fun. I mean, I throw it in sport mode, changes the and I hammer it. I mean, it throws you back. You always have plenty of passing power and plenty of power to have fun with. And if you haven't considered, I know I'm late to the game. It's like, yeah, look at that, just barely hitting the throttle. I mean, woo, that's awesome. If you haven't considered one of these and you're looking for just a great all-around daily driver, like this checks all the boxes, and it does it with passion. It's not just like it's going through the motions and checking the boxes like some vehicles. There was some thought put into this, and I think if you're going to like the usual suspects for a daily driver, you should absolutely consider the Mazda 3 Turbo Hatchback. And I'm glad I sprung for the preferred, I can never remember what it's called, Premium Plus or Preferred Premium or something, the top trim level. I'm glad that I did. I like the features it gives me. I like the red leather that it gives me, and just like all the nice little touches, the Bose stereo, all that stuff. And so I think it's a package that's worth it. I think if you're going there, I think you got to go all the way and just get the one you want. It's only a few grand more, right? It's just a cup of coffee a day, as they say at the dealership. So whatever. Anyway, I've loved it. These are my driving impressions. Thanks for watching, guys. Oh, there's a bunch of debris on the freeway. There we go. Tire shredded. But yeah, thanks for watching. And if you don't mind, just liking and subscribing this video. And if you've bought one of these, you know, thanks. Thanks for joining the club. Let's let others in the comments below know why these cars are so awesome and why you should consider one. So, thanks everybody. Have a fantastic day. We'll see ya.